Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and this is kind of a special event, special time, special place. This amphitheater was built to do these types of presentations, exactly what we're doing. This is the first time we are actually being able to fully utilize its capabilities, from audio, video, live feed, you name it, and it is amazing that we can do this with a famous chef, nationally recognized, been all over the world. We were talking earlier about his trip to Africa. He's influential, he has a foundation, he is a story of overcoming adversity and making it big in our industry. I'd like to play this video for him, or about him, so that you can get to know him a little bit better. Keep in mind that he has a couple of books out, the recipes and the biography, which actually is going to be even bigger. I'm sure that Chef Jeff will talk to you about that. But this is From the Streets to the Stove and From Cocaine to Foie Gras, and it's an amazing story about his life. So I'm going to play this video for you and introduce him to you.
Finally tonight, our person of the week. Finally tonight, our person of the week. He's an ex-convict who's the first to tell you he is not proud of his early years. But after turning his life around, he's cooked up a way to reach troubled young people and give them a chance.
When I first went to prison, I pretty much felt that I was done. I was finished. And I blamed everyone for my shortcomings. But it wasn't until several years after my incarceration when I began to value education. I began to accept responsibility for my past, and that planted the seed for change.
And what a change Jeff Henderson has made. He has gone from crack dealer to prison inmate to celebrated chef. His love for cooking started in a prison kitchen.
I used to be the omelet man in prison. The basics of cooking in prison is a little different from most restaurants. You don't have the 6-burner stoves or the saute pans. We made sure that we were putting out a great product, you know, for the prison population. Food is one of the most important things to a person who is incarcerated.
But cooking for inmates and then after release convincing a fancy restaurant to hire him were two very different things.
I had to diffuse the prison stigma. I had to make the felony jacket disappear. You know, I had to straighten up the way I walk. You know, I had to clean shave my face. I took makeup to cover my earring hole up, and I learned to smile.
He started as a dishwasher. Eventually, a mentor at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas took a chance on Jeff, and 4 years after getting out of prison, he was an executive chef at Caesar's. For many cooks, that might be enough. But Chef Jeff wanted more. He wrote a best-selling warts and all memoir, started a catering company, and is now the star of the Chef Jeff Project on the Food Network.
With garlic, herb,
It's
potatoes.
not your average cooking show.
I'm going to be your preacher, a chef, your father. I wanted to create a show that changes lives, inspires lives, and motivates lives through the power of food. That's what this Chef Jeff Project is about. I was able to take 6 young people who come from diverse backgrounds, gangs, drugs, homelessness, dysfunctional families, and create an opportunity for them. Does this look like what I showed you?
If they all make it through Chef Jeff's 6-week culinary boot camp, he'll provide them with scholarships to a cooking school.
You guys with me? Yes. Prison saved my life. You know, I was rescued from the streets. But I hope these young people can make the change in their life in society today without having to go to prison and take that journey that I had to take.
But Chef Jeff hasn't forgotten his brothers still inside.
There's a lot of people who've been to prison who's successful out there. They just don't talk about it. I talk about it. I know for the rest of my life that I'll be giving back, trying to fix the wrong. I'm not proud of what I've done in my former life. Today, I do truly believe that it's my responsibility. Tears a day, huh? But it's also my passion. You know, besides cooking, I truly believe it's my calling to touch the lives of people who feel they have no hope or have no potential to be successful.
And so we choose Jeff Henderson. He told us his favorite dish to cook and eat is something he calls friendly fried chicken. The name of his mentor in prison, by the way, another inmate, was Friendly Womack. And you can find Chef Jeff's recipes, including that chicken, by logging onto our website, abcnews.com. That is World News for this Friday.
Jeff being here today. So without further delay, I would like to introduce Chef Jeff Henderson.
Thank you. Wow. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody feeling? Good? All right. First of all, I want to say I'm extremely honored to be here. It's always good to come to communities across the country, especially cooking institutions. And today, I don't really want to focus a lot on my story per se, but I want to weave in the power of food in my story. I want to take you on a journey of how I rose to a level of chefdom. So when I talk about the power of food, I really talk about what food done for me, what food has done for you all, and what food really is about. You know, a lot of times we come into this business because we cook great food at home, or we're inspired by a cooking experience, and we believe that we could become a chef. We believe that we can have a career in culinary arts. But it's bigger than that. And chefs who rise to a level of stardom, a high level of professionalism, a high level of success, there's a common denominator with people who are successful, whether it's in culinary and banking and finance, or no matter what it is, career that you're in. In order to be successful in anything that you do, there's certain traits that you must have. There's a certain level of sacrifice that you must put forward to get there. There's great attitude that you have to have. There's a high level of drive and determination to get there. It's a high level of willing to put in the man or woman hours to get there, to reach that level of mastery, you see. So it's not just about being a great cook, having an amazing, extraordinary palate. It's not about having just a great skill set alone. There's other things that come into play in order to get to that level. And my story begins many, many years ago. And you guys know my background. You guys know I've been to prison. You guys know that in my former life, I was a bad guy. I was a guy that most fathers and mothers wanted to keep their sons and daughters away from. And I say that because I'm not proud of my background. I'm not proud that I used to manufacture, sell, and market crack cocaine. But at that period in my life, the circumstances that I was born into created limited options for me. And during that period in my life, the one option, the one meal ticket, the one way out of poverty that many of young people believed back in the day was selling drugs. We have something up on the screen there. Did I hit something? Let's move that up there. Perfect. So when I talk about the power of food, what it means to everyone, and when I speak and I talk, I take my talk very, very serious. Very, very, very serious. Because what I'm going to share with you isn't taught in schools. What I'm going to say to you is through my life experience and the reality of how myself and many chefs came from the bottom and made it to the top. All right? So when you look at my background, growing up in South Central LA and San Diego, selling drugs, came from a dysfunctional family. My father left when I was 2 years old. So my story is very similar to maybe many folks in this room or at this school or somebody who you may know. But I'm not going to get on the victim bandwagon and justify my criminal past lifestyle because I didn't have a dad growing up. I didn't have the role models, and my mother worked 2 jobs, and we were on welfare at a period of time in our life. We lived in subsidized housing. You know, I grew up in a house where we didn't have choices for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There was no double-door refrigerator. There was no wash machine and dryer. There was no male figures instilling the principles of manhood in myself, or certain women around that was teaching the traits of womanhood to my sister. So it was in the streets, that I was able to find certain things about my own self. So that's a picture of me when I was a youngster. I was a dreamer. Ever since I was a little boy, there was something about me that I knew I was different from my father. I knew I was different. I had a vision with those thick Coke bottle glasses I had on. I was able to see beyond poverty. There was something, that little voice that talked to me that said the American dream. The American dream at the age of 7 and 8. You know what that dream was for me? A dream that everybody has is to one day get a house on the hill with a white picket fence. That's what I wanted for my mother. House on the hill with a white picket fence. Maytag, washing machine and dryer, so we didn't have to go to the laundry mat and wait in line to get a washing machine. A double-door refrigerator. When my sister and I woke up in the morning, we popped the refrigerator open and we had orange juice and grapefruit juice and cheeses for our bologna sandwiches, a choice of cereals, and always having milk. That was my dream. So as a little boy, being curious and never focusing on education, because I never saw the payoff of education. My teacher, my parents couldn't convince me that education would get me the American dream. I just didn't believe in it. I didn't see the connection of making money. So money became my addiction. Money is the addiction of lots of people who come from poverty. Because when you come from poverty, you're born in the survival mode. From day one that you're born, it's survival mode. How are we going to get by? How are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to keep food on the table? How are we going to pay the rent? How are we going to keep the lights on? That's the survival mode. So during that period, I decided, my mother told me when I was young that I was the man of the house, which was a huge mistake for a single mother to put the burden of manhood on her son. What does that mean when a mother tells her son that you're the man of the house? That's responsibility. That's the burden saying that now you have to be what your father should have been. So my first response to that is that I need to help my mother out. I need to bring some change to the table. So watching my mother work 2 jobs, watching my mother drink herself to sleep at night, watching the struggles that my mother went through, and the men and women in my community. I got a newspaper route. I was #1 newspaper boy. #1 newspaper boy. I was a candy seller. These guys used to come from the burbs in these vans and take all the little homies into the exclusive neighborhoods and sell chocolate candies so we can win prizes, cash gifts, trips to Six Flags, and things of that nature. I became the #1 candy seller because there were certain things that I discovered about myself when I was a kid, that I always was a talker, loved to talk, because no one would ever listen to me. So when I didn't understand things, no one ever said, well, Jeff, this is how this is done, right? No one ever explained to me the payoff of education. If you focus on math and English and social studies and science and world history and current events, these are opportunities that can be created out of that. So I learned customer service skills very early in the game. I had gift of gab. I was a gab master. I was a great communicator. I was a lover of people. I was a lover of community. So I became this little salesman at a young age. Then eventually time went on as I became a teenager. That little pocket change I was making wasn't enough. Wasn't enough to help out. It was just small time money. I was a hungry little kid. I grew up in a house where we used to have grit bowls at least 4 days a week. That's a bowl of grits with a couple of eggs, add a little bit of milk to it to stretch it out, slice up some of that thin government cheese, 2 couple pieces of bacon, crumble it up in there. So now you got a whole breakfast meal in a bowl that sits in your stomach, swell up all day, and it gets you through. Every now and then we had a roll of that government bologna. And you slice up and cut it 4 different ways, fried in that cast iron skillet, government cheese on some white Wonder bread, put at the bottom of the oven. We didn't have salamander, so we used to use a broiler at the bottom. We didn't have a toaster, and we had to fry bologna sandwiches, mustard and mayonnaise. That's my only experience, childhood foods that I really remember besides the times going to my grandmother's house. See, my grandmother was the only person in our family that had a cookie jar. You know, grandmother's always got something sweet to eat. If it's a little piece of pound cake wrapped in some aluminum foil in the back of the refrigerator, might have been there for 2 or 3 months, who knows. You go to grandmother's house and you go there and we always rushed the cookie jar and it was something there to eat. So those childhood memories are things that really, really stayed with me. So as I became a teenager, I started getting involved in hanging out with the older guys in the neighborhood who was a bad influence on me. But these guys in the neighborhood taught myself and many like me how to make money, how to put food on the table. So that addiction for money, that desire to get money, not to get high, not to be involved in any violence, because I never used drugs in my life. I never smoked marijuana, done cocaine, drank alcohol, never tossed 40s up or any of those things, never been involved with gangs and never carried pistols. My addiction was a dream. It was one day to get my mother out of the neighborhood. So that's what it became. But then at the end of the day, the end results, at the age of 19, becoming a millionaire crack cocaine dealer. Eventually, who got the house on the hill with the white picket fence and the refrigerator and all the nice things. The end results was prison for making those poor choices and doing things that, I'm not proud of today as a 48-year-old man. And I wound up going to prison, and I served nearly 10 years in prison. But it was in prison during the darkest moment of my life when my whole life just slowed down. And I had time to look at myself in the mirror. Because, sometimes during the darkest hour, the darkest moment in our life, the setbacks that we have, those are times of reflection. When you start to question yourself, where you are in life. What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What direction are you going to go in? But it was prison for me. And when I first went in the system, I was rebellious. I blamed everyone for my shortcomings. The government, the community, my mother, my father, everybody. But it's not until a person accepts responsibility and begins to hold themselves accountable for their circumstances. Though many of us was dealt a certain level of circumstances in a situation we were born in, it doesn't mean that it can never be changed. It doesn't mean that you can never become who you dream to be. It doesn't mean that you can't never turn your life around or you can't never achieve a level of success. Oprah Winfrey told me once, it's never too late until you take your last breath. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your story is, what God you worship. Doesn't matter what neighborhood you came from. Anybody can achieve a level of success. But there's certain things that needs to happen. It's discovering your gift. You see, everybody was born with a gift. God-given talent, God-given purpose. But let me make it a little easier. Everybody was born with strengths. Everybody was born with something extraordinary about you. Every one of you guys in here. Every one of us. But that gift isn't revealed to you until you have a certain experience, or you've been inspired, or until you hear something that brings that up out of you. Maybe it's food, and that's why you're here. That's why we're here. Maybe it was food that we felt that was our gift, that was our calling. See, but some people never discover their gift because they go through life in a mental prison. I was in a physical prison, but a lot of people are in mental prisons where they set barriers and roadblocks up on the way they think. They see life like this. So when you have blinders on, it doesn't allow you to see opportunities. It doesn't allow you to see beyond your circumstances. So when you can't see beyond your circumstances, you accept whatever hand you're dealt in life. That's BS. You should never accept ordinary. You should never accept not living the American dream. You should never accept not wanting or owning a house and going on vacation and having choices in life. Why not? That's the American dream. Why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you be able to make the amount of money you want to make? Why shouldn't you be able to live in the community that you want to live in? Just because you was born in a certain neighborhood or a certain color of your skin or a certain religion, or you may look a certain way. Maybe your look doesn't, or your self-appearance doesn't, quote unquote, fit into what America says that is beautiful, what the media and the public says that doesn't look good. At the end of the day, it's your gift, it's your strength, it's your talent that will separate you from an ordinary, being ordinary in life. See, successful people have discovered their gift. That's the only difference between them, the have and the have-nots, is that they found the roadmap. The ones who haven't found the roadmap. They haven't found the secret. You see, because we all put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time. Now, I might be speaking to a certain group in here. Some folks in here may have come from a silver spoon upbringing, but that doesn't guarantee success. There's a lot of successful people who are born into success and born into wealth that's hooked on drugs, that wind up in prison, who makes poor choices, who never become what their mother and father laid the foundation for them to come to be at the end of the day. So when you find your purpose, when you discover your purpose and your values and you begin to see the world different, it allows you and reveals to you what you was born to do. See, I wasn't born a convicted felon. I wasn't born a criminal. I embraced the criminal lifestyle because the option that was there for me at that period of time. But now today at 48, I realized that I was a genius all along. I was intelligent all along. I was smart. I was intellectual all along. I was gifted all along. And I'm tooting my own horn. You know why? Because I'm proud of myself. I don't need nobody to tell me that I'm smart. I figured out I was smart. Hell, I became an executive chef, convicted felon, never been to culinary school, run a $30 million a year operation at the Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, Ritz-Carlton, Hotel Bel Air. I got myself on TV. I'm an author of 3 books with a prison GED. I learned to write. Though I had the vision, I was able to see certain things because what I believe, if you can see it, you can be it. If you see yourself being a chef, if you see yourself being successful, extraordinary, amazing, rich, whatever that may be, and you put that in the universe, and you believe that in your gut, your soul speaks to you and confirms that, you can become that. But you got to put the work in. See, there's no such thing as a master of anything. A master is someone perfect. A master is someone who never has to learn anymore. So you can never become a master chef, even though there's titles, but there's levels of mastery that you have to get there. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Outliers, talks about the 10,000-hour rule of mastery. 10,000 hours. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, the guy at Steve Jobs, put over 10,000 hours into their craft to become the best at what they do. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant spent their whole summer shooting three-pointers, not doing reality shows, not out golfing and doing all these other things that a lot of these players who never reached that level do. The Microsoft guys, Mr. Allen and Bill Gates, if you read their story of how they became the best in the whole computer age, they worked for free as janitors of one of the first computer labs in the nation because they wanted access to the computers so they can become the best at what they do. And that's how they got to where they are. The same way in culinary. Those who come in first and leave last. Those who come to school laser focused. Those who go home and practice what you learn here. Those who are willing to work for free if necessary. Those who don't focus on how much money they can make when they leave culinary school, but focus on the knowledge, the access to be around the brightest in the game, or the ones who reach a level of mastery and success. It ain't about being a celebrity chef. I don't consider myself a celebrity chef, even though they call me a celebrity chef. I'm just a guy who figured it out. I'm just a guy who put in the hours, the guy who sacrificed, who didn't have friends coming up in the business, who didn't go out to clubs, who didn't party, who didn't get caught up in no nonsense conversations when I was learning. See, my schooling was in the kitchens. I was a guy who came in, who washed dishes, who did janitorial work at Gatsby's restaurant, who used to spray EVO on his beautiful plants so they'll shine when customers come into the restaurant. I was a guy who unloaded the truck. I was a guy who broke down all the lobsters, cut up all the marrow. I was a guy that cleaned all the Chipotle onions, who small diced all the shallots. I was a guy that did what everybody told me to do. Many people took advantage of me. They thought they were punking me out. I didn't look at it like that. Because every time they had me break lobsters down, every time they had me dice a whole Lexon of shallot and garlic, I got better and better and better and better at what I did. And they were revealing to me their skill set. So what did I do? I became an intellectual jacker. You see? So what happened when they went on vacation or called in sick? Chef Jeff slid in there and took their job because I was ready. Big ears, little mouth. I didn't go to each restaurant I went to talking about what I learned in school or what I learned at this restaurant. This is how we do it. I went in there listening because everybody has something different to bring to the game. So I became an analyst. I am an analyst. And that comes from being on the street. See, where I grew up at, I had to watch my back every single day. Every time I'm in a car, I'm in the rearview mirrors, making sure no one jacks me, no one jumps me, no one kills me, no one robs me. So when I used to move through neighborhoods to get to school, I had to know the characters. So I took that same street smarts into the corporate world, and I studied the characters of chefs, the dishwashers, the line cooks. So I had to become a psychologist. I had to become an analyst. So I had to figure out a way how to build a relationship with everybody in the kitchen that allowed me to be on the team so I can learn. I became an information addict. I went out and bought Food Lover's Companion, Becoming a Chef by Karen Page and Andre and Dunningberg. I studied Alfred Bertali, who started the stacking of food. Every culinary book I can get my hands on, I got it. Not necessary for the recipes, the philosophy. I want to understand what made these chefs great. When they tell me Thomas Keller is the greatest chef in America, I want to know why. What makes him the greatest chef? How does he hold a knife? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he cut? How does he hold a saute pan? That's what I had to know. So in order to become the best, you have to go amongst the best. In this day, you know how many culinary schools is in this country? Do you know how many people who's applying for saucier jobs, line cook, dessert, pastry, there's thousands, tens of thousands of people. So there's no room for mediocre. There's no room for being ordinary. You have to be extraordinary. And I knew that because I was a convicted felon, black man, been to prison. I had the stigma written across my chest. That's Paul Bocuse, one of the world's most greatest chefs. How did the homeboy, the convicted felon who never went to culinary school, who didn't know French term, how did I get with him? I had a plan. I wanted to go work for the Ritz-Carlton to work in the fine dining room. So I didn't have the resume. I didn't have the experience. So I went in as a dishwasher, told them I'll clean, I'll prep, just to get in the door. Once I get in the door, that's it. I'm going to get what I want. And I'm going to do it very strategically. So every day at the Ritz-Carlton, when I had a lunch break, I never went to lunch. I came in early, knocked out my mise en place, and I would go over to the fine dining room and I would post up. 3-Michelin star chef, Gerard Ferry. Chef, I want to work in this kitchen. Is there anything I can do for you? No. He wouldn't even talk to me. They thought I was a hack. a scrub, a hash flinger. So I said, okay. Every day on lunch, I went over there and I just watched. You can't stop me from watching. So if I see how you doing a cut or you breaking down some protein, you can't stop me from looking. So I studied them every day. Till the phone ring. Jose called in sick. They needed some help. Chef had to go to food and beverage meeting. Gave me an opportunity. Told me to make them 30 Parmesan twills. So what I did, I never do my own style of anything when I work for somebody. First thing I do, I say, chef, here go the pan, Parmigiano Reggiano, show me exactly what you want, chef. He gave me a demonstration. I'm watching everything to how he put the cheese in, how much, how he took the French spatula and spread it out on there, then how he had the ring mold and he sprayed, he put a little bit of olive oil on there, and when the Parmesan tool, he turned it over twice, he laid it, and it made like a little boat to put baby romaine hearts in. So he went to food and beverage, and he came back, I had 30 Parmesan twills, perfect for him. I went into his low boy reach in, cleaned out his refrigerator, took all of his tools, put on a half sheet pan with parchment paper, everything organized. When he came back, I was waiting on him. He saw the twills. He opened up the reach in. Everything was tight. He went to the executive chef of the Ritz-Carlton Marina Del Rey and says, I want that guy. A week later, I was working in a fine dining restaurant. See? So it was a strategy to everything. But it had to be extraordinary. That's a peach cobbler right there. It's a donut peach cobbler. I took donut peaches that were extra soft that I couldn't use for the main presentation. I got H2O, granulated sugar, fresh grated nutmeg, cinnamon stick, took some mint, and I wrapped it in some cheesecloth. And I say wrapped it in cheesecloth because I don't know how to say the French term. What is that called? Anybody know? Chef? When you wrap herbs and stuff in a sachet. See, I never went to culinary, so some things I missed out on. But I know how to make it. See, it's not what you say, it's what you can do. And can you produce? Okay, so I took that and I made peach stock, strained everything out. Then I took another case of peaches, put a little X in the bottom like you do when you poach tomatoes, dropped them in, counted 18 seconds, pulled them out, ice shocked them, peeled the skin off, went in the bottom of the peach and popped out the seed, set it in the middle of a $100 burner dough bowl. Put a scoop of French vanilla bean ice cream, poured the peach jus table side around that, and I made my own pie crushed twills that went on the side. So when you take the spoon into the ice cream, into the peach, and get that juice put in your mouth, then you pop that twill in your mouth, the peach crust. So it's a deconstructed peach cobbler. See? So because I knew that in order to work at the places I wanted to work at, I had to be extraordinary. Everything about me had to say brand, brand, brand. I had to make the felony jacket disappear. So when I went into the Ritz-Carlton, the Hotel Bel Air, I went on what you call a recon mission. And what does that mean? I staked the place out like I used to stake out neighborhoods when I was a youngster. I went in and I observed everybody in the hotel. What do they look like? How do they talk? How do they walk? Everybody in the hotel was clean shaven. I had to clean shave my face. I took makeup, covered my earring hole up. I had to learn to smile. I had to learn to smile because I didn't smile. So when I came out of prison, one of the first investments I made was in my grill. Look at that. Pearly whites. I put money in my mouth. I started getting my hands manicured. I made sure I didn't have no hair in my nose or hair in my ears. When you start hitting 40, you start getting hair coming out of your ears. So I had to be polished. I had the $150 Bragard chef coat on. This is what this is right here. It's a Bragard chef coat. $150 in France. You know why I went out and sacrificed and bought the $150 jacket? Because Thomas Keller, Robert Gatsby, Alfred Portali, Paul Bocuse, all the world #1 chefs was wearing the Bragard coat. So when they see that little B right here, That's a secret code. They said, oh, okay. He got the top of the line stuff on. So then when I came out of prison, all the chefs were wearing clogs. I said, Chef, I'm not wearing no clogs, man. My sister and mother used to wear clogs. I didn't want them to think when I was in prison that, you know. I got on another team. So I didn't want to wear clogs. Because I still had a coolness about myself. But I know in order to be a chef, I had to look like a chef, walk like a chef, and cook like a chef. So I went and got clogs. I don't wear the real French clogs anymore because I got bunions and corns now from putting in them hours in the kitchen. Nice eyewear, clean shaven, smiling, articulate, branded. Because when I'm sitting there talking to the chef, you know, they look at your hands. They look at your appearance. So I had to make adjustments to fit in with the brand. Everything about me had to say brand, brand, brand. So by the time I got to the felony, they didn't even care. I sold them on it at the end of the day. So when you talk about star power, who would imagine? Bellagio celebrity chefs. Look, we got John Philippe Murray, world pastry chef. We got Wolfgang von Wieser. He set up four seasons all over the world. We got Martin Herrling from Germany. We got Edmund Wong, who's now the executive chef of the Bellagio. Then we got Julio Serrano and Picasso, right? From all over the world, James Beard winners, champions. And who's that homeboy over there in the corner? Yeah. And I show this because it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where you come from. Is that were you willing to put in the work to get there? What does extraordinary really mean? It means going the extra mile, asking questions all the time, not getting caught up in the yaddy at school and when you're not at school. Laser focus. So at the Bellagio, I wrote a book called Cook, From the Streets to the Stove. It was my life story. Because I started working back in the community and everything, and I'm going to bring this thing here together, then I'm going to get cooking here. I started paying it forward, giving back, and I know it seemed like it was easy for me to become a chef, but it really wasn't easy because I endured a lot of BS. I mean, a lot of things happened to me on my rise to chefdom that the average person with this game given up and has walked away from it. And I was sabotaged. I had people put sugar in my salt, turn my oven on broil when I had it on 250, slow roasting some shaved fennel with heirloom sweet 100 tomatoes and fresh garlic and EVO drizzled on the top with a fresh thyme sprig that went on top of my loup de mer fish. They put sugar in my sauce on my rack of lamb that was going out, coming back, and the executive chef for the hotel was expediting, and all the food from my station kept coming back because the customers were complaining that it was sweet. Oh, yeah. When I come back on my 2 off days, all my mise en place is thrown out. Stuff that would last 3 days. Well, I didn't nut up. I didn't, beat somebody up or, I just sucked it up, but I dealt with it. But I had to prove myself to the guy. They were trying to run me out of the kitchen because I was too aggressive. I was too focused. They used to get mad at me because I came in on my off days and worked for free. They was mad because I came in 2 hours early and made them look weak because I came in because there was a plate up or a tasting going on that I wanted to see. That was my culinary education. I didn't have culinary books like you guys have. I didn't have world-renowned instructors that you have here who walk you through every single process. I had to get mine as I went along. So the food world is a serious business, and it's tough. There's going to be people who don't like you because of the way you look, because of your age, because of your religion, because of how slow you may move, because of how fast you may move. And it's even tougher for females. This is a sexist industry. What a lot of industries are. And I'm only telling you this not to discourage you, because you have a gift. And you'll never let no one tell you what you can't do. You don't let nobody stop you from your dream. You You know how you take them out? You take them out with your work, your passion, your humbleness. When people didn't like me, I used to smile at them. I used to find ways to break the ice with them, to let them know that I'm just like you. I want to win too. And that's how I was able to finagle my way through the system and to be able to reach the level of success. I was blessed. You know, there was no magic wand. I've been at this for 23 years. I was the head inmate cook in prison. I was the head inmate baker in prison. I fed 2,000 convicts a day. So it's something that I discovered about myself in a bad situation. So my gift was the gift of gab, which I realized in a corporate world, this is a great communicator. That's it. I was still a hustler. In the business world, it's a great entrepreneur. The only thing that separates the two is the product. So in prison, a guy told me I was smart. He says, Henderson, you're a smart guy. He said, when you was on the streets, you understood marketing, branding, PR, great communicator, great salesman. He said, all you got to do is change the product. Change the product, build integrity and character. And those things never left me. Who would imagine? After I wrote the book, Cooked, I was blessed with another amazing opportunity, is to go on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And I told my life story to the world about resilience. Resilience is that warrior spirit. Resilience is that spirit that says fight, fight, fight. Never give up until you drop. Laser focus, putting in your homework, putting in hours to mastery, putting in hours, learning everything that you can learn, becoming the best at what you do. But finding your gift in the food world. See, culinary school allows you to get a taste of every facet of the culinary world. But it's going to be one of those areas that you're going to excel at. And you know how you tell the difference between passion and the gift? You see, when you're gifted and you're extraordinary in whatever it is that you do it at the highest level with the least amount of effort. See, a lot of times we're passionate about things, but it doesn't mean you're good at it. You could love making cakes, passionate about baking, but you could suck at baking too. See, I love to golf, and I suck at golf. So I know that's not my gift, is golfing. So throughout your culinary schooling, and when you get in the industry, you're going to find the area that it could be management, it could be garde manger, it could be pastries, it could be butchering, it could be sauté, it could be grilling and, sauce making, prep. But once you figure out what that gift is and you excel at that gift, that becomes your main area of focus. And so that's what happened with me. And one of my strengths was managing a diverse workforce, because I go in the kitchens and I work with people from all over the world. So I have a personal relationship, a personal professional relationship with everyone in the kitchen. Why? Because I study everybody who works for me. I know their strengths, I know their weaknesses. I know when they're on, I know when they're on. So being able to get the best out of each person became another gift that I learned. So I wrote the book Cook, went on Oprah, got a phone call from Will Smith, Sony Pictures. They bought the rights to Cooked, my first book, which is going to be turned into a motion picture film. We're on the 5th script. 2 days later, I got a call from the Food Network. Said, Chef Jeff, what do you want to do? We want to put you on the Food Network. I didn't want to stand there and show off my $5,000 grill, smiling, doing a cooking demo, because, I'm a lover of people. I want action. So I said, let's do the Chef Jeff project. We take 6 at-risk young kids from the streets, diverse group, gangbangers, drug dealers, whatever. Don't make no difference. Give me the worst of the worst. That's my gift. And start a catering company. But not only teach them, but teach them life skills. teach them how to survive in the workforce, teach them how to take what their natural abilities and develop those things. So I started teaching and stuff around the country. So I got that call from them. Then I got a cookbook deal. My first cookbook, Chef, you know, I'm proud of it, but it's not my best work because I've gotten better. So I went into the publishing business. I sold that cookbook for $250,000. Some recipes, right? So I created another revenue stream. Then I started public speaking after I was on Oprah. Fortune 500 companies all over the country called me to speak, to tell my story about inspiration. So I started traveling the country speaking. Then I started cooking for celebrities and CEOs of corporations. But it wasn't the food that really, I struggle with this every day. And I don't like to say certain things publicly, but I struggle with my purpose. See, everybody has a purpose in life. So is the purpose for me to really be a chef and cook every day? Or is the purpose for me to inspire and show socially challenged adults and young people how they live, how to carve out their version of the American dream? See, I believe God gave me the kitchen as a platform to do what I'm doing today, and this is how I'm redeeming myself and paying it forward for the wrong that I done 20-something years ago. Because here I have all this success, more media than any chef in Las Vegas, more books than any chef in Las Vegas, and I don't have a restaurant. There's a reason for that, I believe, that maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. So it's very important to figure out what is it you're supposed to do in life. Some people never figure it out, but you have to really, really focus on that. So I call my talk like strength-based education. I go into prisons, I go into schools. I work with young people, adults, who don't believe in themselves, who got the blinders on, who've never had their own version of the American dream. I remove those blinders. We give them backbone. We let them know there's no difference between the folks who live in the suburbs and the people who don't. There's no difference. There's no difference between successful people and non-successful people. We all put our pants on the same way, the same way, one leg at a time. The only thing that separates the have and the have-nots, the successful and the unsuccessful people, is their ability to figure out what they were supposed to do, their strengths, and cash in on them. How do you cash in on them? How do you make the best of yourself? How do you change the way you think? How do you change your behaviors? So those are some of the areas that I focus on when I do my talk around the country. But it boils down to the end of the day, the American dream. What does that mean to you? The American dream means different things to different people. But I believe that everybody has to carve out their own version of their dream. For me, it was a house on the hill with the white picket fence for my mother. For me, it was to get a little money in our pocket, take a vacation, have a cookie jar, a backyard with big trees, a sidewalk in the front of the house, living in a neighborhood where you don't have to worry about getting shot or robbed, or my sister's getting raped, or whatever the case may be. That's what the American dream was for me, is to be successful, to be somebody. Everybody wants to be somebody. And we are somebody to someone or to some people. And part of my drive over the years has been to prove the people wrong, who counted me out 40 years ago when I was a little boy, who said I wouldn't live past 17, who said I would be a failure. And they put that in my head, and I wound up going to prison, but I never laid down and accept ordinary. And I knew one day I would get back on top. Because if you could see it, you could be it. And that's just truly what I believe. I hope I said some things today that inspired you, to get you thinking, to get you to understand the sacrifice to get to that level that you want to be in. And let me tell you, I walked throughout the school today, and I saw an extremely high level of talent. From deboning chickens, to cutting marrow paw, to making sauce, to breads, the whole 9 yards. And who would imagine here in Grand Rapids, one of the finest culinary programs I've ever saw in the country? Who would imagine that culinary talent is right here? You know. So at the end of the day, it boils down to what you guys really want out of your careers and how do you move forward in achieving those things. So I want to thank you guys for listening to my talk. And I want to open the floor for some Q&A while I get a few things ready here, and we're going to cook a little bit with some molasses braised beef short ribs. And we're going to make my grandfather's version of gumbo. And, you know, I use king crabs in my gumbo. My granddaddy used a Louisiana blue crab. And, you know, bless his soul, if he was still living today, he probably thumped me upside the head and said, boy, you don't put no king crab in no gumbo. Because the original crab is a blue crab. But I had to tell my grandfather, well, granddaddy, this is not the 60s anymore. We evolved cuisine and things like that. So let's have some questions. But what I want to do, I have a few people I want to invite. Jared Smith, Edith Zambria, Bobby Granderson, Dan Priest, Dave Belightly, Carl Slotz, Patty, and Eric Newell. Can you guys join me here in Kitchen Stadium and be my guest? They're going to be coming over for another room here, and they're going to sit up here, and I'm going to start preparing my molasses short ribs. Do we have any questions? Somebody got to give me some questions. Yes, ma'am.
When you said you studied people and stuff,
Yes.
and you didn't talk much.
Say that again?
You didn't talk much. You listened.
Yes.
You studied.
Yes.
I don't really have a question. I like people too, but stupid stuff pops out of my mouth.
No, but listen, no question is a stupid question, Laura. Let me tell you something. And being open-minded and teachable is what chefs look for. See, I would hire someone who is teachable and open-minded before I would hire somebody who is very skillful but talks too much. You know why? Because they know everything, you understand, and they're not willing to listen. And you're moldable and you're teachable. And you have a beautiful smile and a great personality. And I think you need to be on camera. Laura was running from the camera today. Let me tell you something. Yes.
I listened to your book on tape. It's been 3 or 4 years ago. But you mentioned the power of food today. And there was something quite interesting that your experience when you got within the prison kitchen.
Yes.
Observing what's going on, a couple things came out. The way I remember it was that you had to make the guards look good.
Yes.
Make sure the guards look good so that you could then use the power of food.
Yes. Well, what Eric is talking about in Cooked, as you read through Cooked, my experience in the prison kitchen is that in every prison kitchen you have food foremans that work for the government who oversee kitchen operations. So the inmates, as we cooked and maintained the kitchen, if we made the guards look good to their superiors and their bosses, you guys can start coming on here. Eric, come on back here with me. You make the guards look good, so when there's extra chicken or extra vegetables or whatever that is, onions and things that we can put in our top ramen dishes with squeezed cheese and things like that, that was a plus. So I had a little business. And so the power of food it does play off into that. So working in the prison kitchen not only allowed me to discover a hidden talent and a hidden passion for food, it also created a way for me to stay off the prison yard and stay out of trouble, but also created a little hustle for me. I was a cook on the yard, so I used to sell onions and hard-boiled eggs and a little piece of chicken here and there when I could to my clients as well. Yes.
I was sitting in a tractor in the middle of a field where I could only see a hawk occasionally. Listening to this, I decided at that time I was going to make some changes in my life. And that's why I'm here today, and I just was so inspired and just excited to meet Mr. Henderson.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. This guy here knows my story better than I do, and one thing I did observe about you as well, and Laura as well too, is you guys are probably my age or younger.
I'm 54.
Yeah, well, we're there, yeah. But it's what you bring to the table what really matters at the end of the day, and there's a lot of young folks up in here. And so you look at the generation gap between us. And you young folks see folks in here that's old enough to be your parent. And I have to, tip, my toke to the older folks in here who have decided to follow their dream and to make that change in their life. And it proves that it doesn't matter what poor choices you may have made or what career changes you make in life, that it's never too late. And what you guys bring to the table is wisdom. And you can't teach wisdom. You can't buy wisdom. And I think your life experiences that you bring to the kitchen, young folks will really help elevate what you do, and you guys will become great leaders in this industry as well. So let's give it up for Eric, huh? Eric's my man. Thank you. And Laura. Good. All righty. How you guys doing? All right, so right now, this is going to be, we're going to do this like a little TV show style. All right, so you guys are going to be my tasters. You guys have some great Pellegrino water there, beautiful china. And today what I'm going to prepare a maple braised beef short rib. It's one of the signature dishes that I've cooked in many different restaurants around the country. I have a thing for sweetness in my food. I grew up in a house where, we had a lot of candy yams and candy carrots and love sweets because, again, growing up, we didn't have access to all the sweet things. And Southern cuisine is a lot of sweetness in their food, mixed with a little bit of savory as well, too. So I want to showcase one of the dishes here. Here we have some certified Angus beef here, and we have bone in. So normally what I do with my beef here, my short ribs, is I season them very well with fresh black pepper. And we're going to get that on both sides of the cap. Some cooks use all-purpose flour to put on the back to make sure it doesn't stick to the pan. But if you have your pan hot enough, you won't have to worry about it sticking. So we're also going to take a little bit of kosher salt here. We're going to drizzle on both sides, get it nice and seasoned here good. And we're going to sear this off and lock in those flavors really good. So we got the pepper here. I'm going to turn these over like this. See, one of the things in kitchens, too, like you have some cooks who move a little slower than other folks that would normally turn this over, one at a time. But you see how I took all three of them and flipped them like that? Because when you're working up against the clock, you really have to move. So what I'm going to do here, we got a pan here that's hot. I'm going to take a little bit of canola oil. Usually I use a canola blend with a little bit of olive oil and canola oil as well. Adds a little bit more flavor. Canola oil is great for cooking, and it can go at a high temp as well, too. So we see here the pan is pretty hot. We're going to let it nice and hot here. So I might go ahead and dust a little bit of AP flour on there as well, just so we can get a nice cap shell on there as well. So I'm going to dust this on both sides. Our pan here is getting nice and hot. I love short ribs. Get a nice 4 to 6 hour cook. A lot of chefs now are sous videing them as well. So I think we have, let's see here. Gotta make sure it talks to it. I want a little bit hotter here. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil here. Then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna get another pan going here for a mirepoix. And we're gonna bring the temperature up here. All right, have my assistant help me with this stove here on this side here. I got it. Great, thank you, I got it, yeah. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil here. And what I'm gonna do in this non-stick pan, I'm gonna start off with some celery, some carrot, a little bit of onion. Let's see here. So we got all our gumbo mix here. I'm gonna get a few onions here. Pan should be getting nice and hot there. I'm gonna go down with some onions, so I'm keeping an eye on it as well. Take that top cap off. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there. There we go, get a nice little sear going. I'm gonna lock in that flavor with that salt and pepper. I'm gonna cut down a nice rough chop. Here, this onion. I have some chopped over there, but I kind of feel like cutting. I was in the World Food Championship in Vegas over the weekend. with a bunch of the top chefs, and I was in an onion dicing contest. So I said, let me go ahead and try a little bit of this here. Get a little bit of celery here as well. Get rid of some of the leaves here. Put those back in there. So one thing about what I do when I cook is I'm always thinking about what I have going on and make sure I'm doing multiple things at once to bring that food together. See here, who's stronger than me here? Separate them two for me if you can. Thank you. I'm gonna check these, make sure they're simmering down really well. It's a beautiful kitchen here, so I don't want to get oil all over the place. My man. Let's give it up for my man here, huh? Mr. Muscle here, huh? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna bring this here. My onion, celery going here. Let's see if the pan talks to us a little bit. I like to get a little hotter here. Let's bring it up. I'm going to add the garlic to this as well a little bit later. I want to put the garlic in first because it may burn a little bit before the carrot, celery, and onion is ready to go. Look like there's a little movement there. So we're going to get carrots going there. And what we got? A little more, some onion in there. I'm going to take a little bit of black peppercorn, get that flavor in there as well. A little bit of fresh thyme, a little bit of rosemary. I'm going to drop in a bay leaf in there. So now, while actually the short ribs are searing up here, I'm going to turn them to the side, lock in that flavor here as well, and we're going to get a really nice slow cook going. And we're going to let that mirepoix here get nice and caramelized. So the pot that I'm actually going to use here, I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to get some heat here, move this. I'm going to set this pot right here. I wanted you guys to kind of see here with the camera. I'm going to move everything into here. I actually have some jus. I'm going to put in here some beef broth or beef stock, tomato stuff here I'm going to use in a little bit. So we're going to bring this up to temperature. Get this caramelized down really, really well. I love to always have bone in my meat because that's where the flavor is. Get it locked in there really, really well. So, you know, doing television, one of the things that I learned about doing food TV, they call this stand and stir cooking, right? So what you have to do when you stand and stir doing television is constantly look up and be able to cook and talk. So I kind of forgot about being on TV, so I'm going to look out a little bit more and cook at the same time. All right, so how am I doing so far? I got a question out here. We had a question earlier up in the back. Yes? My favorite dish to make growing up was a fried bologna sandwich on white Wonder Bread with mustard and mayonnaise as a kid. My favorite dish in prison was fried chicken and cinnamon rolls. On Sundays, we got baked pastries. We did like a continental style breakfast on Sundays. A little bit of oatmeal. And does everybody pay taxes in here? I don't quit talking so much, huh? So we had like a little continental style breakfast on Sundays where we had donuts and cinnamon rolls and things like that. So those were favorite times being incarcerated, was getting a protein like that. And so that was my favorite thing. What I like to eat now these days, you know, I love slow cooked meat. Slow cooked, you know, stews and oxtail, short ribs, stewed chicken and things like that. I like the slow cooking process with the fresh garlic, the herbs, and vegetables as well. So I have this going here. I'm going to bring in some garlic. Get some garlic in there as well. I'm going to take a little bit of tomato paste. We're going to add to that broth. And stewed tomatoes. Give it that little tomatoey addition to that broth as well. So I'm going to stir the garlic around here with the mirepoix. And then I'm going to go into here. Short ribs look like they're about ready. So I'm going to drop these in. Can you guys see that down in there? I'm going to get some camera in this pot. Alrighty. So now we're finished with here. I'm going to take this pot, move this pan over here, bring my mirepoix over here, put a little more high power heat on there as well. Thank you, sir. So now we have the short ribs in here braising a little bit. We have a little bit of red wine here, a dry. Gonna let it cook down. I'm going to move this plate over here. My guy can move that out when he gets ready. I'll put these here. Yes. Okay, there you go. Well, you know, I did. I didn't talk much about my family. Yes, I am married. I usually like to establish that early in the game. All right, so yeah, I just don't cook with my wedding ring on. So I'm going to add the mirepoix, wine reduced down, get that flavor, fresh garlic and stuff here. I'm going to set this pan here. So now we have this going here at a slow simmer. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this dish here as well. If we're able to get a little bit of mashed potato, if not, that's fine. But we're going to do a little tasting up here as well. So go back to my story a little bit. When I was incarcerated, thank you. When I was incarcerated, right before I was released, I met my wife when I was in prison. Her uncle, Friendly Womack, was a gentleman who actually taught me how to cook in prison. And we have 4 children today. We've been married 15 years. I've been out of prison now for 16 years. So I did sacrifice a lot. You know, there were times when I forgot I had kids and a wife because I was so driven. So when I talk about sacrificing, you must have balance in your life, where you carve out moments of the week or moments of the day to make that. I was a beast. I was a beast. I was an animal. I was just like so driven. Sometimes I didn't hear or see anything but my career. And that's why I was on a fast pace to a level of success that I've reached. But, you know, I do regret some of those times. And today I'm learning to have fun. The last couple of years I've been learning to have fun. You know, I ride Harley Davidsons. You know, we got any motorcycle riders in here? Yeah, I love my motorcycles. I do antiquing. I love the antique for old china and, you know, pots and pans and utensils all around the country when I travel. I love to go to the movies. I love to go out to eat and stuff like that. And sometimes my wife has to say, honey, you know, we have 4 kids at home because I'm around the country trying to save a lot of other kids out there. So, you know, still a learning process. You know, you're a student for life in everything that you do. Any more questions? We're going to bring this dish here together. We have a question? Yes, ma'am. Yes. What does that mean, put a twist on stuff?
Like, if you have something ordinary, I want to make it different.
You want to make it extraordinary.
Right.
I like that.
Do you think that might be a problem if, like, you want to switch up, not keep the standard?
No, but see, you have to pick your moments of shine. And a problem that a lot of cooks and people in the industry have going into the restaurant, when you go into a restaurant, you have an executive chef, that's his house. And he's the one who shines. When you shine, you're shining for him. And you lay in the cut and you prepare and you plan for your day when you become the executive chef. Now, there is chefs who will let chefs under them have their moments of shine. And I'm that kind of person. You know, I give credit to where credit is due. You know, if one of my cooks come up with a great dish and I like it, and it fits in tune with the restaurant and the menu, we'll incorporate that. And so I do a table talk every day before service. So you'll come out and talk about this chicken dish or a pasta dish that you created. So it's good, but you always go to the chef. This is how I do, so I don't upset the chef who I'm working for. I would say, chef, I have a question. Or chef, can I make a suggestion? Instead of just doing it on my own, you know, and trying to upstage him. So there's a way you go about doing it. But when we talk about putting a twist on food, you know, food, the way food is going today is going back to the basics. It's going back to comfort food, great Americana cuisine, foods that we grew up in this country. You know, diverse foods that are simply put together, seasonal, taste, great flavor, presented nice. You know, in the days years ago, everybody was infusing so many different cultures of cuisine that it became confused. You go to restaurants, it's, you know, you got Russian food with Thai food. You got, you know, Mexican sushi, and you have, you know, they're making sushi with dirty rice from the South. You know, it's just getting too far out there. But now, you know, people are going back to the basics. So having great, clean, seasonal food, the right steps of cooking, bringing that stuff back together, I think is the way that this industry is going. So you have your moments, but you're a student now, so you're learning, you're in training. Let that chef teach you everything they know. Don't try to come up with your stuff yet. Come up with it in your head. Because any good chef who identified talent in his kitchen, he's going to give you a moment to shine. Whether it's the chef table, what's your name? Natasha. You may say, Natasha, give me a fish dish tonight for a special. That's when you get your moment, okay? And then when your time comes to shine, then that's when you'll be able to execute the food that you're most passionate about. Question? Yes, sir. Stand up, please, so I can see you while I cook, brother. It is influenced by my upbringing today because I'm able to do what I want to do. You see, because when I was coming up in the industry, my background was in California French, which is a lighter version of classical French cooking. Wolfgang Puck coined that in California during the 80s. So natural jus, broths, tomato water, you know, very light soups, less cream, less butter, small versions of food. You know, I like to do very small food, you know, tasting style versus big food on the plate. People just don't eat like that anymore. So I kind of do my food very light, very, very small as well. So we have the short ribs here, or some ones that, you know, we prepared earlier. I'm going to taste this sauce here, make sure we're on point. Now, the short ribs here are braising. We're going to add a little bit of molasses for the sweetness, but not too much because it'll caramelize as it braises slowly. But most of the maple, the molasses, we'll put in at the end. So I'm just going to put a little bit in here, you know, kick that flavor up a little bit as well. And I want to taste this broth here as well and see if I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to that as well. Definitely want to add some more salt. Put a little bit of pepper. We're going to let that go and simmer. Now we're going to bring this dish here together. I'm going to turn these ribs down. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get rid of this cutting board here. Bring this one back. Got a beautiful cutting board here. I don't want to mess it up. So I need some help right quick so we can bring this together, move on to the next dish. Where's my man? Eric. I need Eric right quick. And young lady right here, please. All right, so what we're going to do right quick, Eric, right? We're going to take each one of these here. And we're going to let this group up here taste. So what we need here is we're going to need a little bit of mashed potato in each one. So I'm going to give you a little example of what we're going to do. So we're going to set that in there like that. So you make sure each one gets those. And then we're going to cut the bone off of here. Give me a towel, and we'll set a towel on the cutting board there, because it should be a towel. There you go, right there. Perfect. Never want to set anything hot on a wooden board or anything. This is perfect. All right. Bring this here like this. All right, we'll remove the mashed potatoes. You can put that right behind you, Eric. Put this here. It's coming nice off the bone. Short ribs, you want them coming right off the bone. The first one came off with ease. This one here as well. We're going to have to put a little knife to this one, just a little bit. Put that down like that. Wish my dog Jenny was here. Get those bones. So what we're going to do here, we're going to cut this down. Cut a little bit of that fat off. All right, so now we need, how many portions we have here? 8. Some nice little pieces here. So remember, we're going to feed them. We're not going to fatten them. That's our philosophy in Cali. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. All right, so we're going to take this here like this. Then I'm going to have you come with the sauce. Set that here like that. See if we have any flat leaf parsley or anything for garnish. If not, we can use celery leaves. So we're going to set these here right on the top. Beautiful. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to grab a spoon here. Got a sauce here. I want you to hold the pan like that. Here's your spoon. Great, so you're going to a little drizzle right on the top. Eric, we're going to come right behind, and we're going to place a garnish, coming down. And you're going to come behind Chef and put that garnish right on top. Let me show you something on that spoon. You can have a little more control. You hold it like this versus like that. A little bit on it. It looks perfect. Good. How you feeling, Eric?
Good.
Eric's the man.
First time on TV.
All right. Woo. All right, come on. We got 2 more to go. Want to serve? You guys serve, please. Set them right down inside of your plate. I don't have any knives for you. Okay, good. Now, see, Eric's working with me, right? Now, nobody told Eric to sit down and eat. Now, he's supposed to be over here with me, and Eric sit down at the table and eat. Now, Chef didn't say Eric sit down and eat, did he? All right, so this is the molasses braised certified Angus beef. It's been slow cooked for almost 6 hours with the marrow paw, red wine, fresh herb, little bay leaf, black peppercorns, fresh garlic, and the natural jus that's been reduced and thickened over some garlic mashed potato. Normally you can serve this with some asparagus, some carrots, or any seasonal type vegetable that you may have. So please enjoy. Let me know what you guys think. And this molasses braised beef short ribs will be served at the buffet lunch that we're having today, because most of you guys worked on that as well here as well as too. So you guys did an amazing job, and appreciate everything you guys done to help put this together here today. How are we looking? Talk to me. Okay, Eric, we're not having a drink cocktail day now. We're not having a wine tasting, okay? I know, I'm just teasing. It's good? Okay. Yes. I'm sorry? You can pick up the Mirepoix in there? Okay, good. Okay, sweet but not too sweet. All right. Now, you know one thing about cooking demos on TV and stuff too, right? Or on television or whatnot. Even here. Now, have you ever heard anybody say, oh, it sucks? Oh, it isn't good? They always say that, right? So, honest feedback is good. Good. All right. So I'm going to be moving some of these things out of the way. Anybody hit me with some questions? Please.
Ryan has a question.
Done. Yes, Brian. This is ready to go.
It's
Good.
just a couple questions. The sauce, what is it?
The sauce is a natural jus that came from the short rib. So it was beef broth or beef stock that's been reduced with the garlic, the onion, the Mirepoix, the red wine, and everything as well. So it has been reduced down, added molasses to it to give that sweetness, a touch of sweetness.
And then is it easier to just set it and forget it in the oven, or do you want to watch it on top of the
Well,
stove
you know me,
for 6
I like to
hours?
watch my food. Now, there's several ways. It's a good point you brought up. Some people put in the oven and let it go. Some chefs put in the oven, let it go very slow for 4 to 6 hours as well, with aluminum foil over it at a slow roast. Me, I love to see my food cook. I love to smell my food, so I like to do my short ribs or any braising that I do on top of the stove, because I'm always doing other things as well, so I can constantly taste. Sometimes in the oven, you can kind of forget about it, and you can't control, you know, the process. So I like to see the process when I cook. Yes.
Actually, I kind of have. My question is, how did you decide what is going to be your main cooking style? You know,
Okay. How do I know what was going to be my style and of cook? You never know. It'll come to you in time. And I'm sure some of the chef instructors can back me on this. When you come in the business, in the industry, you're learning so much, you really don't have a style. You'll come into your style as you progress in the industry. Now, you may have an idea of what you want to do when you get your degree and you work in the industry of opening a restaurant or whatever it is that you want to do. But, my style came from my influences. Now I call my food posh urban cuisine. So I put a little upscale twist to Southern cuisine. Like you saw the peach cobbler, you saw the short rib. So I present it nice, very California style, everything edible, all garnishes edible. I do crispy collard greens. I do asparagus peelings to put on top. I make my own potato chips to garnish different meats and things like that as well, too. So what I do, I just kind of make Southern food sexy versus than doing it the old school way where you just have a lot of food sitting there in a pot as well. Yes. Yes. All right, go ahead.
Well, you had spoke earlier about struggling with what direction you want to take as far as your career, whether you want a restaurant or whatever. What is your ultimate end goal? Do you want to have a restaurant?
Well, my ultimate goal today is to continue what I'm doing around the country, speaking and things of that nature, but also opening up my own restaurant. Right now, I'm in the process of opening up a grilled cheese dive. I'm gonna have gourmet grilled cheeses. Love grilled cheese, don't you guys? Yes. So I want to do a gourmet grilled cheese dive, and I also have a chicken concept that I want to do with my world famous jailhouse fried chicken. Yes. So, yes.
I just wanted to know, with you, I guess owning or your own catering and having employees, how do you look at hiring students? Because around here, it's kind of hard getting a job when people see that you're a student, and I'm just wondering, why is it so tough to get a job if you have the passion to learn? And it's hard in this industry to get accepted.
Okay. Different people hire for different reasons, right? And most of the time, restaurants aren't looking or companies aren't looking, but I believe that every company is always looking because most companies have undesirables who's working for that company, and they're looking for a right replacement. And if you come at the right time and you be able to showcase your talent is one way. But if it's a place you want to work like Robert Gatsby, who gave me my first job out of prison, he didn't hire me when I first went there. It took me a month and some weeks. Every day, not every day, but every week, 2 or 3 days out of the week, I would show up at his restaurant. Hey, chef, how you doing? Just check it in to see if anything is going on. No, I don't have anything. They're coming back. And people, they want to see how bad you want it. They want to see how many times you'll come knocking at the door. What are you willing to do? Chef, you know what? I'm willing to work for you this weekend. Don't worry about the money. You know, I'm willing to work for you full time, 6 days a week. You pay me for 3 days, and I'll work for 4 days for free. You see what I'm saying? Because most chefs have worked for free before. I'm not promoting you go out and do free labor. But if you want to get in there bad enough, what are you willing to do to get in with integrity? And that's the smart way to do it. Because if someone knocks at my door every day, every week, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, eventually I'm going to hire them at some point. So that's just a gamble. But also relationship building. You have to build relationships with people in the industry. So when you go out to eat, you need to go find out. All chefs hang out somewhere. You need to find out where they're hanging out at. And you need to be there. You need to have your Brigard chef coat on. You know, you need to be smiling. You need to be talking food talk, you know, and that's what it takes, you know, relationships. And then sometimes here, you know, you may have to look at going outside of your community, going down to Detroit, you know, going to the next state over, go to Ohio, different places like that. You know, don't hold yourself hostage to just this community. All right? We have another question. Yes.
Where around the world has your career taken you?
Where around the world?
Yes.
To all the Caribbean islands. Where else have I been? Caribbean, I've been to Ghana, West Africa. I went to Ghana, West Africa, and I cooked over there in some schools. I've cooked over there in a hospital. I cooked in a culinary school over there. I went to Canada, Halifax. But let me tell you what happened there. I went there to cook and had a nice little payday up there. And I flew in and landed at the airport. And I noticed a lot of custom agents outside the plane. And I was like, wow, I wonder what's going on at the airport. Well, they was waiting on Chef Jeff. Canada has the strictest laws of anyone who has been convicted of spousal abuse, DUI, or serious drug charges. They won't let you in the country. Well, I didn't know that. So when I got off the plane, you know, again, the street sense kicked in. I said, okay, they're on to me. So I just walked up to them and said, let's go to secondary, because I knew I was going to secondary inspection. And they asked me, have you ever been arrested before? I said, yes, sir. What was you in prison for? I told them. And they said, well, unfortunately, we can't let you enter the country. And I said, okay. So I didn't put up a fight or anything, because I already knew, because someone had, you know, the guy who the movie came out, Catch Me If You Can? They denied him going in there once, and I had talked to him, and they wouldn't let him. And he works for the FBI. I've been working for the FBI for 25 years, teaching them how crooks, fraud, you know, banks and stuff like that, and he still couldn't get in. So I did try to go there. So I do say, I don't say I went to cook in Canada, but though I never got an opportunity to. But all over the country, I do the Epcot Food and Wine event every year, food and wine events all over the country. I compete in food competitions. I have a show on GSN, the Game Show Network, called Beat the Chef with Bo McMillan and Antoni LaFossa. Starts back airing on the 19th of this month, and hopefully we'll get a second season and go back into that. I'm working on another cooking show that's going to go into syndication with Bellum Entertainment. I'm supposed to start filming that in June, like 24 episodes. It's going to be a stand and stir show. And so that's coming out as well, too. I hope to have my own pot and pan line out. I'm working on my jailhouse fried chicken spice, world famous. I don't know if I'm going to call it, I think I'm going to call it my world famous jailbird. Yeah, but the proceeds for that will go towards my foundation and called the Spice for Life. So, you know, I'm a marketing guy. You know, I do guerrilla marketing. I never had a publicist. I promote my own talent, and that's what you have to do. You know, you have to promote your skill. You have to sell your skill. out there in the industry. You know, you gotta let people know you exist and what you're willing and capable of doing as well. All right? So I'm gonna answer more questions as we go. I'm going to get ready to get started on my seafood gumbo. King crab gumbo is a dish that is very dear to my heart. It's my grandfather's recipe. I kind of put a spin on it a little bit. He cooks it with blue crab. I cook it with king crab. You know, and my grandfather was one of those guys who, you know, you didn't mess, you know, back in the days, you know, grandparents, they didn't allow you just going in the kitchen, messing around in pots and in the refrigerator, but I did get an opportunity to see my grandfather cook many times, and this is one of the dishes that is really, really dear to me. So how we're gonna start this off, again, going back to the basics of maripal. You know, we add a little bell pepper, no carrots in this dish as well, a little bit of onion, celery, and we have to make a roux with butter and all-purpose flour. So it's 50-50. You use 50% butter, 50% oil, or you can use butter as well too. So here you come with a basic stock pot, and it's very, very simple. You know, we have sausages. Here you can go with andouille sausages, chicken smoked sausages, and all those things as well. We should have a little bit more here. Here we go. Little gumbo filet here. We have fresh okra. And we have more stewed tomatoes here. Some great, great stuff here. Thank you, brother. A little bit of bay leaf. So this is real simple. This is one of those dishes where you start putting everything in here. So we're going to start off with some more canola oil. We're going to drop this in here. Add celery. We'll go with the onion. We'll come with the garlic in a little bit, not quite yet. Add bell pepper. So you want to stir this around really good. Get it nice and caramelized. Get that flavor out of those vegetables there. Add 2 bay leaves. A little touch of black pepper. A little bit of kosher salt. Usually when I make this, you can add H2O water, or you can use chicken broth as well to really intensify that flavor. Some people put chicken in it, some people don't. There's just different versions of gumbo. You can have chicken and sausage gumbo, seafood gumbo, you know, crawfish. You know, gumbo is one of those dishes that you can put anything in there to create the dish, which goes served over steamed white rice. I think we have some rice at some point. Okay, great. We're a little early on that right now as well, too. So we got the vegetables cooking down here. And if we can have somebody break down the bar up here and remove these plates here. I'm going to set out a really nice bowl, and everybody can come down and taste that a little bit. Okay, so now we have the vegetables being sweated out. I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic. I made a little space here in the middle. Get that garlic in there caramelized really, really well. So 2 things I'm going to do right quick. I want to do some sausage. Let's see here if I can get this pan before I go into the maripal. I'm going to turn this up here a little bit. All right, I'm going to add the sausage in this cast iron skillet. It's not quite hot enough yet, but it's coming. So we got a little bit of smoke here. So we kind of got 2 things going here at once. This is best served over white rice. The vegetable we're going to put in here is some okra. I love okra, especially when it's fresh and it's in the season. Okra acts as a thickener as well, too, to the gumbo as well. So you got to put it in kind of like at the right time. The shrimp and the seafood usually goes in last because it cooks very, very fast. So we're going to get these sausage here cooked down really, really well. Love sausage. This is where your flavor is going to come in at. Yes. We're going to let this cook down really, really good. So we're going to do a fast pace through here. I have a finished version here ready to go. All right. So we have all the vegetables here sweated out. Sausage cooked down, caramelized, get all that flavor. This here has, you know, a lot of hot peppers in there, various peppers, garlic, seasoning as well. We're going to come over here. We're going to add the sausage. Here are all the vegetables here. We're going to keep this pan here because we're going to start our roux. So we're going to let this cook down here a little bit. We're going to use a little bit of gumbo filet here, get the flavor going. It's going to act as a thickener here as well. Oh yeah, nice. A little bit of pepper here as well, a little bit of salt. So now we're gonna come with some butter. It's gonna catch some temp real quick, so we're gonna get that flour going in there. Gonna put that flour. I'm gonna cook this roux down until it gets nice and dark, which will give us the color. Let me turn the temp down just a little bit here so we don't burn it. Now we want to cook it down here. Good. Let it melt down. Cast iron skillet is the best skillet here to make that roux. So we're going to micromanage that a little bit. So you can smell all the seasonings, the vegetables, the seasoning, the garlic, bell pepper, onion, all the different sausages. I believe I have some chicken here somewhere. And I'm going to add this in at the last, along with the crab and the shrimp. I'm going to get some of this stuff here out the way. My man, I got some stewed tomatoes here as well. I'm going to put that here. And add just a touch of tomato paste as well. We're going to move that out of the way. Keep a few things here. A few more sausage. So we got this here. The roux is going, thickening up. You just keep cooking it and cooking it until it gets dark. And the version is going to be a darker version here like this. That's the color of your roux as you cook it down. Good 30 minutes or so, right? So it's a darker version of what you see here. So it's 50-50, oil or butter, all-purpose flour, cooked down. All right, now we're going to add our H2O or chicken broth, whatever you prefer. Chicken broth is a little bit better, but water is fine. That's why I'm adding chicken wings in there. So you cover it up. This is one of those dishes you just really can't go wrong with. So now you see we have the broth going here. We're going to put in the chicken wings, get more flavor from there as well. So now we get that nice simmer going. I'm going to test a little bit here. I haven't been cooking long enough, but I just want to see where I'm at. See if I can put a little more salt, a little more pepper. Definitely. Salt. A little pepper, more pepper. Ah. Yeah. Got our roux going. Keep an eye on this here. Over here, I will be making me some black pepper biscuits or something to go with that here. So I'm looking over because I like to see my stuff over here. All right, so now gumbo is pretty much done here. So I'm doing a fast pace. I'm going to come in with that roux. Nice and tight. And the roux is going to be the thickener. I'll start off with this much. You don't want to put too much roux to start off because it may get too thick. Then you got to add more broth, some liquid to it to really break it up. So at this time, the chicken is coming off the bone. It's nice and tender. So you're going to keep this going here. You're going to go back for another taste. Making progress. All right, gumbo's coming together here. So we want to do at the last minute, we're going to add our shrimp. Shrimp cooks really quick, so you want to do that at the end. We're going to go put our fresh crab meat like that. Get that stirred around. See the shrimp starting to turn color as it's almost a finished product. And we come with the okra. Add our okra in there like this. And we let that baby simmer for the next 12, 15 minutes. All right? So we have our roux here going. So we have a beautiful, wow, this is beautiful, isn't it? So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put the rice right in the middle of that bowl, like this. That should be enough. Come down here. Got our finished product. we come back in. We got our king crabs. These already been poached. Bring that to the side. All right.
As Chef said earlier, all this food plus his cornbread and his peach dessert, the gumbo, the ribs, sweet tea and lemonade are all back in the paper room. As soon as he's done here, he's got books there that are for sale, and he may even be able to do some signing.
That's right.
So as soon as we're done here, we're going to all gather around there and kind of have a picnic.
May do signing, will do signing. How's that? Will do signing. Okay, no problem. I'm here. I love what I do. And, sir, I want to thank you and administration for giving me an amazing opportunity, not just to tell my story. I know I don't have the ordinary story that most chefs who grew up on their grandfather's farm cooking at the age of 8, 9, 10, and 13 who went to France. You know, I got thrown into the kitchen from a punishment while I was incarcerated, but during that darkest moment of my life, I discovered something about myself I never knew I had. I believed in myself. I discovered my purpose, my potential, figured out what my gift was, and I cashed in on it. That's it. And I had a no prisoner, take no prisoner approach to success. I mean, I moved laser. That's the only way I know. I don't know any other way. When I sold newspapers, I want to be the best. When I sold candy, I want to be the best. Everything I do, I strive to become the best. Yes, Laura? My grandfather and my mother. You know, my grandfather had a janitorial business. He had me cleaning toilets when I was a young kid. And my grandfather came from the Mississippi River. He worked on the Mississippi River in New Orleans, and my grandfather had these big hands. And when he disciplined his grandsons, he used to thump us with them big fingers right in that bald head. He called them cavituses back in the, bow! And I think what that thumping did, it loosened up that silliness. But I was mad at him at the time for thumping me and staying on me and making me clean toilets on the weekend and paying me $5 after I did $250 worth of work. But what he taught me was hard work. He taught me discipline. He taught me attention to detail when polishing toilets, buffing and waxing floors, and changing fluorescent light bulbs and putting in ballots. See, but he didn't say he taught me he was doing that to teach me, but he taught me the way that he knew how to teach. So when I look back 48 years from now, my grandfather passed away some years ago. He gave me everything I ever knew. You know, and my grandfather was an amazing man. And a lot of people criticized him for a lot of different things. But when I look at the sole person who gave me the work ethic, it was my granddaddy and my mother, who I watched worked her whole life, you know, multiple jobs just to keep food on the table. So, you know, my grandfather is to me, is an amazing man. You know, it doesn't matter what other people may think of him, but he's an amazing man. Laura, I would love for you to come up here and put this gumbo on this rice here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome celebrity chef Laura. All right. So I want you to take this here.
Okay.
There you go. Now look. Okay. Now let me tell you something about Laura, right quick. I just know something about her. See, Laura is gonna make it. I don't care what that little voice sometimes that gives her doubt inside. Sometimes it doesn't matter what people in class may say or people who know her on the outside. You know why she's gonna make it? Hold your hands up, Laura. Hold your hands up. That's all I said. Look at that. Look at that. She didn't have excuse. Well, we don't have pens and paper. So what? She wrote it on her hands. See? Information. That's my girl. Read it. Say it out loud.
Highest, how you find, what I learned is how you find your
Gift.
gift is the highest
Level.
with the
Least effort.
And what I was saying to Chef earlier was, I'm just at peace when I'm doing prep work, when I'm cutting vegetables, when I'm at peace.
Yes.
So that's it.
And Laura, they are professional prep. There's a guy named Javier at the Hotel Bel Air. He's been around since the 30s, who's been prepping there for 25 years. Javier doesn't talk to nobody. You just come up to Javier and say, this is what I need. Booyah. And he bangs it out. The best prep guy that I ever met in this country. And if prepping was what you love to do, every chef has that prep person to go for. You strive to be the best prep girl on the scene, if that's what you love to do. And hopefully things will evolve out of there, and you'll be able to see some other things that you want to do. All right? So I'll email you those notes, but I need you to put this in your hand and bring that pot over here and put that gumbo. Ladle it right on up in this. Load it up. Laura talking about she prepping. Laura gonna be cooking and serving. What you talking about, girl? Huh? All righty. Yes. Great job. Just load it up in there. You can pour it up in there if you want to. There you go. Come on. There you go. Beautiful. Get some more of that meat up. Look at there. Why ever mess around with that ladle, all that fancy? Just load it up in there. Pour it in there. Go on, mama. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. See, Laura just didn't want to correct me. She just didn't want to tell me, see. So we're going to put a little more rice up in there, right? Like this. Go and set it over there, all right? All right, this one of them fancy to see. Don't you leave me. All right, what we got here? This is so fancy. Yeah. See? My gosh, Laura. Laura's just all over the place, isn't she? Okay, come here, Laura. Dice me up this parsley right here. We're going to drizzle on the top. Go ahead. Use my knife.
I'll probably cut my fingers.
No, you'll be all right. One time I was working for Chef Gatsby, my first chef, right? And I was trying to impress him so much he went to the store to pick up some things, and I called myself sharpening his knives. Never touch another chef's knives. And I didn't even know how to sharpen. I'm trying to do all, and he tore into me, and I learned a lesson then. I never use nobody's knives unless they give me permission. But every chef should have their own knives. That's beautiful. I'm sorry? I got Hinkles, I got Wusthof, I got quite a few. Because, when I do certain events, television, I get a lot of free knives, Japanese knives. I probably have about 15 high-end, top-quality knife sets from all around the world. Yes, sir. Yes. All the time. Yeah. Well, as a father, in the mistakes that I made, when we bring children into the world, they become our responsibility. Because if it's best to get your career first and have your children. Sometimes we have children first before we get our career. So you figure out a way how to incorporate your son in your life's work and your mission. You know what I'm saying? But you always have it's 24 hours in 24 hours in a day. So out of that 24 hours, you got to give your children a certain amount of time regardless. If you have to cut back an hour on your sleep or you work through your lunch break to get off an hour early, you got to give your time to your son because, as a parent, you get in legacy mode. And at the end of the day, for me, what's most important for me with my children, stay there, Laura, is legacy mode. What are your kids going to remember about you? What is your legacy going to be at the end of the day? When I talk about my father and my mother, I can't always say the greatest things. But, they operated the best on what they had. But I want my children to know that their father wasn't just some convict who spent 10 years in prison who sold drugs, that their father was an extraordinary man, smart. He made the best out of what he had. He never gave up. He fought the good fight. And he got us the house on the hill with the white picket fence. So I do have that today as well, so I'm excited about that. Yes? Do you think it's unrealistic for single parents to be in this business? No. There's a lot of single parents that are in culinary, but it's a little more difficult because the hours you have to put in, the commitment. So having that supports team around you, whether it's parents, in-laws, or someone to help you juggle that. But it is a challenge. It's something that I wouldn't say to an employer because employers look, there's a level, I don't like to use the word discrimination, but there's certain red flags that come up when you interview. Single parent, if you're extremely overweight, are you going to be able to hang for 12, 15 hours? I'm just being realistic. These are things that you have to really think about when you go for that job. Because they're going to look at you, can you put in the hours? Can you put in the time? Can you stand on your feet? Can you compete up against other cooks on the line that's moving like this? Go, 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 go. Push, 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 push. So these are the things. That's why it's always good to be quick on your feet and be honest to some degree as well. You know, because when I don't know something, I say, Chef, I never done that before. Can you show me? No question's a dumb question. No one knows it all. You're a student for life. So if I don't know a certain cut or how to make a certain thing, I ask. So that's important to make sure you be upfront with that. So let's go on with the presentations. Get a little sprinkle on top. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Come with some few tomatoes over there. All right, beautiful. There we have it. King crab gumbo. Thank you guys very much. Give me a hug. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. Thank you. I fell in love with Laura. I tell you.
Chef,
yes.
I know you said that you appreciate us, but I gotta say it's the other way around. We appreciate your time, your energy, your inspirational talks, because there are several folks that have been or are in or will be in your shoes. And as folks like you, obviously you wear your emotions on your sleeve. We've seen that here. We love it, and we thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Our appreciation for your professional enthusiasm shown to our students in the program. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Natasha, I'm going to hold you off because I think you'll have an opportunity to maybe ask that question when you are in the next room. I don't want to take up so much time that Chef Jeff feels like he's been taken advantage of, but he loves this. It's amazing. But we are going to move our way into the banquet rooms so you can dine, so you can talk to him a little bit more. It's what Chef is made out of. It's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll meet you in there. Don't be afraid to get in line, get the food.
Yes.
And as Jeff starts walking around, he'll say some more to you, and it's just an amazing thing. So thank you.
Thank you guys very much. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Amen.